Got the goods? You got the payment? What you trying to pull here, bro? That's just one kidney. Yeah, you said one kidney, one keyboard. Bro, one kidney, one cyberboard. This AM AFA, this two kidney. But I need at least one kidney. No deal, bro. Wait. Do you take livers? Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Scott K. You know, there are some expensive keyboards out there. And then there's this, the AM AFA by Angry Miao. From the makers of the crazy Cyberboard, AM AFA literally stands for Angry Miao Adjustable Flex Alice. I know, that's a lot of information thrown at you at once. But as the name says, the guys that bring you the most excessive keyboards on the market went at it again by bringing out an adjustable firmness, ergonomic... Wait, we're still talking about keyboards here, right? Like, this is not a mattress or anything like that? Okay. AM AFA, adjustable firmness, Alice layout, magnetic levitation wrist rest, $800, and weird. Let's get started. As you would expect from an $800 keyboard, it comes in its own carrying case. Not just a standard one, that's for plebs, but a freaking hard box. Yup, it's similar to the one that you have seen for the Cyberboard. But since this one is a pre-production prototype, it says top secret on the side. The suspense. Open it up and bam, confusion. What is this? I thought this was a keyboard? Yup, this is a keyboard alright. It's an Alice style keyboard, which means it separates the left and the right to create a more ergonomic typing position. But this one is weird, it's so far apart. Idea is to make it so that you're typing at shoulder width instead of like scrunched up like a T-Rex. In addition, this one I have is extra special. It's the VF19 Advanced colorway. What does that even mean? It's modeled after the VF19 Advanced in the Macross anime. Yup, it's a robot that transforms into a plane. How very appropriate given that this thing actually could pass for a plane, more so than even a keyboard. I mean, look at this thing. I've seen some crazy keyboards lately. I mean, even the Cyberboard is pretty crazy, right? But man, this one takes the cake and it's frosting. It's just so out there. It's a modular construction, so each typing cluster is its own little ecosystem, and it's all held together by this massive structural frame. This frame is actually milled out of a solid block of aluminum. Imagine how much work it takes to take a solid rectangular block and turn it into this crazy spiderweb looking thing. It also has this little black info cluster. I initially hoped that it was like an LCD screen, but it's actually just an indicator light set for Bluetooth connection, caps lock, and stuff like that. Speaking of which, yes, this has Bluetooth, yes, it has wireless charging, and yes, it has RGB. And what glorious RGB it is. It's actually very high quality, and the intensity is solid. The RGB is actually aided by the fact that it uses these smoked PC keycaps. Where did we see these before? Yep, the Cyberboard terminal. It's the same ones. However, the switches are not the same as the Cyberboard. It's using these clear TTC linears. Overall, very smooth and has a nice clean sound signature, definitely on the higher end of the spectrum due to what appears to be a PC housing. Underneath it all is a flex cut palm plate. Now, what else is in the box? More boxes. But the one on the left was empty, possibly due to the fact that this is a prototype. But the one on the right, it has stuff inside. First of all, you got some tools, actually a very nice screwdriver. Then you got these leaf springs. You probably noticed that there's two different types here. That's right, the black ones are actually the softer copper leaves, while the shiny ones are the stiffer stainless steel ones. Default, stainless steel comes installed. I did try out both, but I didn't think the difference was that dramatic between the two. But with the two different types of leaf springs and 3 different adjustments that this thing could do, Angry Miao claims up to 18 different feel combinations you could do for the AM AFA. Since this thing literally is the adjustable flex Alice, let's jump right into that. But before that, we need to disassemble this baby. The process is not necessarily quick. First of all, you gotta flip this thing over and unscrew the lower weight. The crazy thing is that even the screws have Angry Miao branded printing on it. For $800, I want to see details like this everywhere. The lower weight actually houses the wireless charging mechanism as well as the two 2500 mAh batteries totaling to 5000 mAh. What is nice is that like the Cyberboard, the battery is actually connected via these hard contact pins instead of some like plebeian cables. Now, you can unscrew the 4 screws in the center to remove the central cage structure on the top. Once the cage is off, you can actually put your finger under the top plates and then kind of lift it up and remove it. These are actually held by magnets. Once the plates are off, you can unscrew these 4 right here to remove the key cluster module. Now, once that module is out, you can actually unscrew the 4 screws and finally open up the case itself. Phew, that was a lot of steps. Now, once you have the top off, you can see how the plate actually sits on top of the leaf springs. This design is actually very reminiscent of the OwlLab spring and the link boards I've built recently. But with that out, you can finally access the adjustable leaf spring mechanism. But before that, let's take a look at the plate and PCB assembly. At first glance, you can see that it has a mid-plate foam already installed. Then you flip it over, you see the under PCB foam, but this one's kind of like glued on. It kind of works like a tape mod and foam dampening all at once. Under the PCB, you also get another layer of under PCB foam and then the case foam. For me, I felt this was like a little bit of an overkill, so the keyboard felt best with the secondary under PCB foam removed. It also allows for more flex as well. Now, let's finally get into the adjustability. So I told you that there are 2 leaf springs, but between the copper and the stainless, the difference is somewhat minor. However, what is not minor is the different settings that Angry Miao actually calls gears. The default setting for the AM AFA is medium, so the stopper is right in the middle. If you move this to the other end, you get stiff. If you remove it all together, you get soft. So why is that? It's been some time, so you know what? Let's have a quick physics lesson. So what the AM AFA is relying on to create a softer or stiffer typing experience is simple torque equation. Simply, torque is a twisting force or a force that wants to create a rotation around the pivot. So when you have a leaf spring fixed onto the case like this, and you press it down on one end, you're creating torque around that fixed point, which is actually the point where it's screwed onto the case. Now, for us to understand how the gears change the feel, you have to understand the equation for torque. Torque equals force times the length. So torque is dependent on the force being applied multiplied by the length away from the pivot. So what does that mean for this? Well, if you have the leaf spring installed on the soft setting with no gear in between at all, you get this entire length of 70 millimeters to work with, which means the same force you apply from your finger gets multiplied by this entire length. So let's say your finger is exerting something like 100 grams downwards across 70 millimeters, you get 7,000 gram force millimeter of torque. Now on the other hand, if you put a gear right here, you're creating a pivot around the gear, right? It also reduces the length to 20 millimeters, so this is the stiffest setting. So you still apply the same force from your finger, which is 100 grams, but since the length is decreased, the torque will also decrease. Hence, 100 grams downwards across 20 millimeters, you only get 2,000 gram force millimeter. So what does that mean for this keyboard then? Depending on which setting you put the gear at, you can press down with the same force, right? Because your finger presses down with the same force, but having that extra length creates a higher torque or rotation, forcing the plate down more, or making the keyboard feel softer or firmer with the same amount of force being applied. This is the same concept when you have a nut you want to free from your car. And to get more torque, you get a longer breaker bar on it. It's much easier doing this than using a shorter shaft. Now you know why. So now that we got the science out of the way, let's take a look at the impact of the different settings, shall we? Here is a setting on soft. Now, here is a setting on medium. And finally, the setting on firm. What about from a typing perspective? Here's a comparison between soft and medium. And here is the comparison between soft and firm. I hope that shows you what kind of firmness you'll be dealing with. Oh, when you adjust the leaves, you use this little shim to ensure perfect distance to the case. So that was actually a very nice touch on Angry Miao's part. For me, I felt that the stainless leaf spring on the medium setting felt the most right. It was just enough firmness without making it feel stiff, and without the keys kind of like bouncing around everywhere as I typed. Finally, similar to the Cyberboard, the AM AFA comes with its own customization software for the keys, as well as for the lighting effects. It's a nice touch since you could create custom light patterns and shows that you could actually showcase the keyboard with. Before I finish this off, I need to show you this, the hover. What the heck is the hover? Well, since the AM AFA is so weird, it can't really use a regular wrist rest, so Angry Miao made their own, but not some stationary one. No, this one is magnetic levitation, and it's designed to kind of slide around the desk with you. I guess this was the concept around it, like your wrist will move with the rest as you type and kind of slide between the keyboard and the mouse? I'm not sure. Call me old school, but even after using it for a while, I just could not get very comfortable with the hover. So I ended up pulling out an OG TKL wrist rest for myself. So what the heck is this thing all about? And should you get it? Well, that is up to you. Are you rich? Do you have $800 you could throw at a keyboard? Do you like to stand out? Do you like weird, unconventional designs? Do you like the option of micro tweaking your typing feel? Do you want to carry around something expensive in a potentially sus looking case? If you said yes to any or all of these, then perhaps the AM AFA is a keyboard for you. Call me old school, but if I were to spend this much, I would actually go for a more standard form factor. Don't get me wrong, I love the adjustability, I love the engineering and the craftsmanship behind the AM AFA. It's top notch, but at the end of the day, I couldn't quite get used to the wide Alice format, and the hover just felt so odd to me, but that's just me. You do you. As usual, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll have more content for you in the future. Before I leave you, here's a quick typing test. Let me know what you think about the sound of the AM AFA. Thanks.